timeout to the class. Start in the IDE by commenting out the timeout annotations. That's the first annotation, the second annotation. The reason why I comment out the timeout annotation at the method level, because it will override the timeouts at the class level. For the class level, we write timeout before public class. Then we write the value. How about we write 5 seconds as the value? Now, with the timeout at the method level, we can include the timeout annotation before test and after test, but not at the class level. At the class level, it must always be above the public class declaration. We can also include the different time unit measurements like milliseconds or microseconds. This time, let's run at the class level, and it will execute both test scripts. That's one failure. And that's 2 failures. For the first failure, we see the timeout exception as expected, and it shows a timeout after 5 seconds. That's the first test. Scroll down to the second test, and it also showed the timeout exception with 5 seconds as the timeout value. That's because it was applied at the class level. So both test scripts have 5 seconds as the timeout measurement for seconds. Let me show you how the method timeout overrides the class timeout by removing the comments for test 1 and test 2. Also, since the seconds is the default timeout value, we can write value equals 5. If we want to add a different timeout, we can do that by writing, timeout.unit, and we can include milliseconds if we want to. What we cannot use is seconds, because seconds is the default. Notice how it shows a gray writing. That's because it is redundant value, because they know that it's seconds. So we do not have to write seconds. If I hover time unit.seconds, IntelliSense shows remove redundant parameter. It's redundant because seconds is the default. So let's run again at the class level, and we will see how the method timeout override the class timeout. That's one failure for test 1. That's the second failure for test 2. Now let's see what the timeout seconds shows, or milliseconds. For test 1, it timed out after 1 second. For test 2, it timed out after 2,000, milliseconds. Bingo. That's it for applying a timeout to the class.